Thank you for joining me for innate astrology. We're going to take a look at the transit of Pluto through Aquarius and all the energies that are involved in that and how they will come together and the effect that they may create. So first, let's look at what the 11th house represents. The 11th house is ruled by Aquarius in the natural zodiac. We often hear that's the house of humanity and the masses. And that's true on a very surface level. But for us individually, when we look at our 11th house, that's where we see the friends and colleagues that we interact with, the people that we collaborate with in order to bring our creative capacities, our dreams into material reality. That's where we culminate our destiny. Now, creating your destiny, fulfilling your purpose, that is a collaborative experience. That's why it happens in the 11th house with friends and colleagues. When we collaborate with others to create our own destiny, it in return helps them fulfill theirs. So we don't create our destiny on our own. It requires collaboration with others. Now, the skills and talents and natural abilities we take into that 11th house to expand and to hone and create with others comes from our 5th house. The 11th and 5th house will always be directly across from each other in your zodiac. In the 5th house, the sign, the planets, the aspects that are made there, that tells you what your inherent abilities are. The skills, talents, passions, desires that you come into the world with, that come natural to you, that are something you enjoy, something that is easy, that when you do it, it doesn't feel like work. It just comes naturally. That includes your capacity for creating children. The 5th house is all of your creative capacities as a physical being. So when you look at what your physical creative capacities are, your natural skills, as you move through life, you start to make friends and find colleagues that help you take those and expand them in the 11th house of collaboration in a way that creates material gain for you and helps you realize your dreams, your passions, your path, your purpose, destiny. So many words for it. So that is what the 11th house is. It's the house where the collective come together to help each other fulfill their destiny. Now, Aquarius is represented by the water bearer, and this is what that means. It is the pitcher that you see, or the cup, the shell. There's many representations. Is pouring out the waters of eternal wisdom onto the people in order to cleanse and renew them so that they can begin again and progress even more. So Aquarius brings to the masses, to the people, what they need to be renewed and to continue to progress forward. That is why Aquarius is often called the innovative thinker, the inventor, the genius. All of this is very true. But there is a lot that is much deeper for Aquarius. Aquarius is an air sign and represented by metal. Now the little wave symbol that you see to represent Aquarius, those are air waves. And if you look at the ruling planet's symbol, Uranus, that is an inverted Venus, which is matter and creativity with two semicircles on each side that are receiving the antennas. So Aquarius is meant to be an antenna to receive this eternal wisdom through the airwaves, the mind, intuition, and turn it into a material creation. Now, Aquarius people are very deeply intuitive. They don't always recognize it because they are very much a critical thinker, and they often dismiss that intuitive genius that comes to them when we receive amazing ideas and inspirations. This is our intuition giving us information from that collective eternal wisdom, that divine collective that exists outside of our physical experience. Now, Uranus represents, well, first of all, let me say that Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. Now, Mercury rules Gemini. The Gemini symbol is, it's not a little glyph with horns. That is an antenna on top. It is also meant to receive. It receives information and processes it and gives it back out to people. It's meant to receive and broadcast. Gemini is Mercury is the messenger. So Gemini is the physical embodiment of the messenger. So Uranus and Aquarius are the higher octaves of Mercury and Gemini. Now, Uranus is representative of independence and telepathic gifts. It represents genius also. Uranus is about the internal antenna that we all have. It's supercharged. When you think of Uranus, you hear, or you think of electricity, that's often said. So Uranus is supercharging that internal antenna to be able to receive that constant electric frequency of information from our intuition, from the greater consciousness. Now, Uranus, of course, is a very deep and critical thinker as well. That's why it represents Aquarius. It can be rebellious. It is very much about the progression. Uranus represents the progression of technology, just as Aquarius represents the progression of the collective. And that's why it represents Aquarius. But it is the progression using that internal antenna and receiving those intuitive frequencies that bring you the genius moments to help progress humanity. It's receiving and creating with the mind, not the body. Like Venus is using the body to create, whereas Aquarius is using the intuition and the mind to create progress. I'm checking my notes. I don't script the videos, but I have decades of notes about what I have come to learn about all of these signs and symbols and energies. Now, Pluto, of course we know Pluto is death and rebirth, regeneration, renewal, getting deep into the darkness in order to understand the reality of what we feel, basically, how we feel and what it truly means. because feelings and emotions can often be skewed by external influences. And so Pluto helps us get to the deep reality of what we're experiencing. That's why it represents Scorpio. Now, our emotions and how we feel, they give us critical information about what's going on around us, the experience we're having. And it's very much a part of our intuition. Pluto wants us to help us learn to discern between what we are actually feeling, the emotions that are ours, and those emotions and feelings that are being given to us by someone else, so that we can better tune into and use our innate gifts that are our sensory perception and our intuition. Clarity of perception and intuition is a critical part of being in control of our personal power. Pluto Pluto was first discovered February 18th, 1930. Now, that was in the time we we're experiencing the Industrial Revolution. And Pluto revolutionized, now it was in the sign of Cancer initially, and it revolutionized how we experienced our home life. We suddenly experienced mass production of things that brought us convenience. Instead of spending hours making our own soap per se in the kitchen, we could run down to the store and just pick up a bar. And it also gave us the ability to do that, in that all of this industrial revolution, all of these new inventions, these things that changed how we experienced our life, created countless new life path options, countless new jobs. It increased our wealth and power by creating more opportunities to gain wealth, which is power. So Pluto also represents wealth and power. When you come out of the transformation that Pluto represents in the 8th house, when you rise as the phoenix that is often used as an example, you have gone through your experiences and your feelings about what you've experienced. And you have transformed that into a realistic view, a realistic perception, so that when you come out of the transformation, that's where you have the power of realism at your command, if you will. Um, you move away from the emotional reactivity, say, of when you are a younger person and you haven't quite yet gained the skills that help you see things in a realistic way. When you go through Pluto's transformation in the 8th house, that is where you come out with a realistic view and perception of what things are. And you move into the 9th house, where you start to gain greater knowledge that you can share with others. So Pluto is all about, really, we call Saturn the planet of being mature, but Pluto is the planet that helps you, starts your journey of becoming mature and being realistic about what you're experiencing and its actual effect or non-effect on you. It lets you find secrets. It shows you what has been hidden from you or hidden within you, so that you can view experiences and feelings through the lens of objectivity. And it is a permanent transformation. So Pluto is not the terrible planet that most people make it out to be. It can be a planet that changes your life in a very positive way. Yes, will it will take what it wants, and you can go willingly or kicking and screaming, but it will take away what it wants to take away because it knows what must be released, what must go in order for you to rise again renewed with power and strength, with resilience and the ability to commit. It is a planet of really having the resilience to stick with something, to withstand. It gives you great strength when you have a Pluto transformation in your life. So this transit is a transformation of the individual in order to transform the collective and transform the collective reality. Pluto in Aquarius. So many thoughts on this. It is definitely going to transform how the individual person collaborates within the collective, how we bring our self, our authentic self. And that's a big factor with Pluto and Aquarius and the Aries new moon last week that ushered in this energy. Authenticity is absolutely pivotal to creating your destiny. And this is why Pluto is required. It really does bring us into our authentic power. In order to create the reality that you want, that you see for yourself, to fulfill your destiny, to find your purpose in the world, you must first be 100% authentic. Because you came into this experience with a very specific energy pattern. And if you are not being fully true to that and presenting that authenticity to the world, taking that authenticity into the 11th house of the collective in order to collaborate and create your destiny, to find your purpose, then you're not going to be successful. If you are holding back, if you are wearing a mask, if you're not giving your true energy that you know is the real you to the world, then you're going to meet the wrong people. You're going to have the wrong experiences. Things are not going to connect for you. It is, and you're going to know when you're doing this because everything is incredibly difficult. You can't find success. You struggle. But when you give the world the 100% authentic, real you that you know yourself to be inside, then the people that are meant for you, the experiences that are meant for you, that are designed to help you create your destiny through collaboration, through connection, those people and experiences come to you easily. And your intuition leads you to these people and experiences that you're supposed to connect with. So a very pivotal factor in this transformation that we are going to experience is each of us stepping into the power that full authenticity gives us. Because that is where you find the power to create your reality, as you hear so many speaking about. When you are being fully you, the you that you know you are at your core, and you're giving that to the world, then that is where the power of creation is at your will. I know that we are in a time where we are told to look like this person, act like this person, dress this way like this person does, do the things they do. Don't be authentic. Just blend in and be a cookie cutter version of this other person that we're telling you you should be like. And that is why so many people are struggling. I call it a crisis of purpose. People are struggling to find their purpose and their path because they are not being authentic. They are mimicking someone else and wanting to follow the path that that person's on, but that's not what we're here to do. We each have such an important role to play with our authenticity, with our natural skills and talents. When we collaborate with others, our role in that is pivotal to creating the reality that we should have. If there are people within the collective, if they're collaborating in a way that is not authentic to who they should be, then the reality we create is not exactly what we were intending. So full authenticity from each of us, as hard as it may be, as frightening as it may be, to step out into the world and show them the real you. It is so important that we all start doing that now. The Aries new moon energy will help us move towards that, to have the courage to do that and to really find who we are. A note that on April 20th, there will be a second Aries new moon. It will be at the last degree of Aries. Aries is us, our individual energy. It is the culminating point of letting go of who we might have been pretending to be and moving into our authenticity as Pluto transits. Second Aries new moon is at 29 degrees. As I mentioned, that is a degree of finality. It is also conjunct the North Node and square Pluto. So it is a very powerful and transformative energy to really step into that transformation into our fully authentic expression of who we know ourselves to be. Now, Saturn in Pisces is helping us with that also. Saturn in Pisces is helping us remove anything in that mind, body, soul connection that is inhibiting our authenticity, that is preventing us from presenting ourselves to the world in a manner that is fully authentic. That could be physical habits, addictions, emotional patterns of behavior. But Pisces and Virgo, opposite ends of the axis, always across from each other, are the physical body and the psychological mind in Virgo, and the intuitive, emotional, and spiritual mind in Pisces. So it is the mind, body, and soul that's being restructured with Saturn in Pisces so that we can present ourselves in a very authentic way by releasing boundaries that we have created with habits or people or addictions, experiences that are preventing us from being authentic, and create boundaries that protect that authenticity. So, sorry, off subject a bit there, but that was important to include because it all plays together in this Pluto transit. As always with the universe, everything is right on time. So, becoming fully authentic, it's not necessarily going to be a comfortable process. And like I said, in this world where we're taught to be cookie cutter, to be just blend in, it can be frightening to step out with authenticity, but there are a lot of forces within the universe, energies that are here to help us do that, because that is very much a pivotal point in this transformation. Because Pluto in Aquarius is going to revolutionize how we collaborate, how we as individuals move into the collective and collaborate with each other to create, to revolutionize the reality that we're experiencing. When Pluto was discovered and we were going through the Industrial Revolution, we traded convenience, all of this mass-produced convenience items, for the individual's unique creativity. So we traded convenience for our individualism and our authenticity within what we are creating for the collective. But there's always a trade-off for everything. So this experience, Pluto in Aquarius, I feel will bring back the integrity of our individual creativity within the collective. This time, the conveniences, the progress, the revolution will be by the people, for the people, as opposed to in the Industrial Revolution, it was individual creativity created a wealth and a destiny and a power for a very limited group. Those who truly benefited from that revolution of creativity then in the Industrial Revolution, the benefits were really only for a small few. And with Pluto representing power and wealth, that small group experienced the power and wealth that came from the Industrial Revolution, from the individual creativity. With Pluto in Aquarius, the power and wealth will be experienced by the individual who is bringing in their creativity to the collective. So the power and wealth will be retained by that individual who is sharing their creative endeavors and helping progress the collective instead of a small, I hate to use the word elite group. Gotta watch what you say on YouTube. Instead of a small elite group gaining power and wealth from an individual's creativity as happened in the Industrial Revolution, this time the power and wealth will be retained by the individual as they help progress the collective forward. I also want to mention that during the time that Pluto was discovered and we were experiencing that Industrial Revolution, we also experienced a revolution in how we create. We were given the choice of creation through the advent of birth control becoming very prevalent. So we literally gained the power to control our creativity. Now, that leads me into going back to how Uranus plays into this. Uranus being the ruling planet of Aquarius, Uranus represents technology, the internet. Now, when Uranus transited Aries, and Aries is the house of the individual, the self, Uranus transited Aries. Wait, I'm going to check my notes and make sure I have the dates right. Uranus was in Aries May through August of 2010, March through, I believe that is March 2011 through May of 2018, and November 2018 through March of 2019. Now, during these eras, TikTok and Instagram became very popular here in the United States. Now, Uranus ruling the internet and being the ruler of the house of collaboration brought us in Aries, the individual, a tool that makes collaboration so much easier. It's at our fingertips, although we don't always use it for its highest purpose. That seems to be human nature. Now, it set up this transit of Pluto and Aquarius, which will fully revolutionize how we collaborate. We were given the tools by Uranus and Aries to make collaboration easier, to make creating our destiny, following our path much easier. We've seen many people become powerful and wealthy and create their destiny via the internet, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. So Uranus and Aries gave the individual the power to have more control over their creativity, over their path, and creating their destiny through collaboration. Made it easier. Now, the experiences of 2020 were with Pluto and Capricorn. It gave us an opportunity to look at how we feel, that's Pluto, about our creativity and what we are able to structure in our lives, being managed by someone else, being under someone else's control. Saturn was in Aquarius, which had the collective restructuring, looking at what needs to be removed, what boundaries are there that need to go, and restructure boundaries that support us being in power over, which is Pluto in Capricorn, how we structure our experience. Saturn in Aquarius gave us the truth about, and Pluto in Capricorn made us look deeply at and see the reality of who manages us and how we feel about it. So there are many energies at play over the last few years that have brought us to this point where Pluto can now help us move through our individual experience and transform ourselves in a way that allows us to revolutionize how we connect in order to create our individual destinies and fulfill our individual purpose and create a different reality for the collective. So it is indeed going to be quite a profound transit. And of course, it lasts about 20 years. It won't be fast, but nothing that is solid and worth having that is going to be something that we keep over time and that progresses for us is built instantly. It is going to take time. Each person's decisions of how they work with the energy during this transit, of course, will be how will affect how the reality is created for the whole. So Pluto wants us to really take our time, go deep within ourselves, and really look at what the reality we want is. What do we want our power to be? What is the reality we want to create through collaboration? It wants us to take our time and make sure that we don't miss any details, that we leave no secret uncovered, no stone unturned. It wants us to build the reality for our individual selves that creates a reality for the collective that brings a better quality to all our experiences. And it's true, it's not that it's going to be necessarily comfortable or easy. But again, Pluto gives us the strength and the resilience to move through that, to get to what we want that comes at the end. So being prepared for stepping into a fully authentic version of yourself, as frightening as that often is, and really going deep within to understand what you want to create, what reality you want to be your life, is going to be what most of us are working on through this transit. We're going to really be transforming ourselves very deeply, very profoundly, in a way that allows us to move into that collaborative experience with authenticity. And I keep using that word because that is such an important part of all of this energy. But we have to make sure we know who we are and we are presenting that energy to the world that is very true to ourselves. So that the reality that we do create as a whole is what we wanted instead of what we have experienced prior, which has been not quite what all of us were really wanting. The reality that we've had thus far has had its positives and negatives, but it may perhaps not be what has been best for the collective, for all of humanity. So that's what we're transforming. We have to first transform ourselves if we're going to transform the reality that we all experience as a collective. Now, both Uranus and Aquarius, as I mentioned, represent very profound intuitive abilities and genius thinking capacities. And of course, Pluto represents digging out secrets and what's hidden in the deep. I think that this transit is going to have everyone renewing their connection to their intuition, their innate ability to navigate this experience through that intuitive connection to the eternal wisdom, the divine collective knowledge, intelligence that's around us. As we move through this Pluto and Aquarius transit, we are also going to have Uranus moving into Gemini. Let me check my notes on that date. I want to make sure I give the right date. Where have I put this? Uranus is moving into Gemini in 2025. Just as Saturn will have finished clarifying our mind, body, and soul, Saturn will be finishing its job in Pisces and Virgo on that axis where it is, in essence, cleansing us spiritually, intuitively, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically, and getting us healthier, more stable, and more in touch with truth, because Saturn represents truth. Saturn in Pisces is going to give us all a very deep and profound truth about ourselves as well as what is going on around us. So now when Uranus moves into Gemini, Pluto will be in Aquarius, and what we have there is like a supercharging of that internal antenna and our intuition, because keep in mind, Uranus and Aquarius are the higher octaves of Mercury and Gemini. Now Gemini, like I mentioned earlier, is where our little antenna picks up information. We receive and rebroadcast the information. And Mercury, representing Gemini, is the messenger. So with Pluto in Aquarius, having us really digging deep and unearthing secrets and finding what's hidden within us and transforming that with authenticity, is going to be supported and empowered by Uranus and Gemini. That's from 2025 to 2032. Uranus and Gemini is going to be an intense increase in that Gemini ability to receive the frequency of information, of the eternal wisdom of intuition and share it, rebroadcast it to others. Uranus and Gemini is going to supercharge our minds, and we're already going to have Pluto in Aquarius really transforming our ability to connect to that higher wisdom, to use that internal antenna. So it's going to be quite the intuitive and invention and progression through thought revolution. I want to add that I also believe that Saturn in Pisces is going to bring about much more respect and people taking much more seriously intuitive abilities, spiritual abilities, astrology, psychic abilities, all of these things that have been given a bit of a reputation of being a bit of nonsense, possibly, by those who may not want us to understand our abilities and powers, our true capacity for creation through intuitive connection. Those who might not want us to understand that have put a lot of effort into giving negative press, a negative reputation to things like spirituality, astrology, intuitive and psychic abilities. I believe that Saturn in Pisces, as well as Pluto through Aquarius and Uranus moving into Gemini, is going to have people realizing the reality of those abilities and really connecting to them deeply and understanding how we use them and how they are the tools that we create with. So it's going to be a very interesting 20 years, to say the least. Now, I'm looking at the last bit of my notes. Pluto represents rebirth and renewal, as we hear. And Aquarius is the collective. So in essence, this is a renewal of the collective and of their Aquarian and Uranian abilities, gifts. So if we all are willing to go through the work it takes with Pluto to transform ourselves and become authentic, to recognize who we truly are and give that to the world, the profound level of change in how we experience our life, how we create our lives, how we interact with each other, it could be astonishing over the next 20 years. We have a rare gift from the universe to move into a type of existence that I think we all at some point have imagined being real. We have the opportunity to create that if we are willing to do the work. And it won't be easy. It's like learning those lessons that you're taught where someone stays on you until you get it right. And that's what Pluto's going to do. It's going to keep coming at us until we get it right. And it's not going to let us go back on our commitment. And the transformations that we all experience individually and as a collective are going to be permanent. So we need to make sure they are the transitions that we are desiring, that we want to create with. Also, this summer, I believe it's in June, the North and South Node will be moving into Aries and Libra, respectively. So that further supports Aries, the individual, where the North Node will be, becoming more balanced and collaborative within relationships with the other, which is Libra, where the South Node will be. So we will all find that we are letting go of connections to the other that do not support our purpose or our destiny or the transformation or being authentic within ourselves, presenting our authentic selves to the world. The South Node has us releasing things. So we will be letting go of those experiences that do not support our authenticity and our path of destiny. And we will be finding for our individual self, Aries, where the North Node will be moving towards our individual destiny. So, as always, everything is right on time within the universe, supporting energies, supporting each other, and strengthening each other. There are two things we've been taught over the past decade, and that is to avoid interaction with others, avoid collaboration, that it's too peoply outside, stay home, I don't want to deal with others. And also to not be authentic, to copy other people, to be like this person, dress this way, live like them. Now, that prevents us from, one, being authentic, and two, collaborating in order to create the life and reality we want. So this transit and the other energies involved are really going to have us transforming those two things greatly. We must first become authentic fully, and we have to collaborate with others. That's the only way to create the life that we want for ourselves and to change the reality for the collective. So as you move through these transits, remember that these ideas of being like other people, mimicking them, copying them, and the idea of staying to yourself, I don't want to deal with people, I don't want to interact. These are two things that are going to be very pivotal to transform. And it's not easy to transform those types of habits. It's frightening to give the world the real you, and it's frightening and overwhelming to go out and connect to people. But you have to be authentic first off, and you have to collaborate with the right people. And when you're authentic, you will find the right people. Your interactions will become more positive because as your true self, who you're meant to be here, and trusting your intuition, which will be a big part of this, will lead you to the right people and right experiences to create the life that you want for yourself. So that's going to be the beginning of this transit of Pluto through Aquarius. Us learning to give ourselves out authentically, and then learning that through that we will connect to the right people where we can create the reality that we want for ourselves and each other. Second Aries new moon on April 20th, that is at 29 degrees, culminating degree, and that is conjunct the North Node and square Pluto, will be where we decide if we are stepping into that journey of authenticity or not. I hope the information helps you reach your greatest success. Thank you.